part of the key of the game, and that's how I think they did so well.
And then the final game, again, probably the most unlikeliest of teams to get to the Final Four, Syracuse. They beat a Gonzaga team that, again, we talked about it over text over the weekend, Tom. I mean, there was a lot of controversy whether or not Gonzaga should have gotten the ball. They obviously shouldn't have. And, hey, it worked out in their favor on that night. And they beat a Virginia team, man. Again, I thought was get to the Final Four and possibly definitely compete with North Carolina to get to the national championship game. When you saw the score at halftime, it was about 35-21. And then in the second half, the last 8 minutes of the game, Syracuse goes on to a 29-8 run. That's ridiculous, to be honest with you. And that's been one of Virginia's downfalls is they cannot keep up scoring. Don't get me wrong. When they beat Iowa State, I was as shocked as anybody with the amount of points that they put up, going mid-80s in that game. Their speed is more mid-60s like this score here. But the fact that they could not stop Syracuse from scoring, and on top of that, they couldn't penetrate the zone. And clearly, that's one of the most dangerous. That 2-3 zone of Syracuse is one of the most dangerous in college basketball by far. I'm not going to say Syracuse is a Cinderella team because when you think of Syracuse, you do think of basketball. They're a basketball-type program. The fact that they just had a bad season. On top of that, with the suspension of Boeheim for 9 games, they went 4-5 in that stretch. So there was a lot of doubt whether or not this team should have been in the tournament as well to begin with, going 19-13. But hey, look, they've proven their worth. They got to the Final Four. This might be the best job Jim Boeheim has ever done in any of his years coaching, and he has won he's won a national title before. So again, for me, this definitely goes up there as a top 2 or 3 moment in Syracuse's history, just because of the unlikeliness of getting to the Final Four. I'm not saying they're a Cinderella team, but they're the most unlikely team in the last 4 of the tournament. Tom?
Looking at their team stats, they were a Cinderella team. Their field goal percentage was at 36%, while UVA's was 41. Three-pointer percentage, Syracuse had 33, UVA had 38. Turnover, Syracuse did have less than Virginia, and when it came to rebounds, Syracuse only had 2 more rebounds than UVA. If you were just looking at the team stats, you would think, how did Syracuse even win this game? And how did they even keep it close? It was because of the penetration, as you said. Virginia couldn't penetrate Jim Boeheim's defense, and they kept on doing the same thing, which made some of the Syracuse players jump and steal the ball away from the Virginia players. I did watch the game. It was amazing. Virginia was coming back near the end, raining threes, but that couldn't stop Syracuse. Syracuse just kept on to full court pressure from the 7-minute mark, and they just swamped Virginia. So you could definitely, if you watch the game, Syracuse definitely should have won it, and they did. Congrats. Virginia just got to be tougher next year.
So, Tom, obviously we have a Final Four to pick between the two. So we'll first start out with the left side of the bracket. So we're going to start out with Villanova, Oklahoma. Again, this is a Villanova team that it's their first Final Four since 2009. So it's been quite a while. What to expect from Villanova is probably a good defense. I think that their defense is some of the best in basketball. The fact that they're selfless is amazing, just because that's how they've gotten here. They don't care who takes a shot, who gets the rebounds, who dishes it out. But when it comes down to points, they'll get the points that they need. That's what I see for Villanova. For Oklahoma, it's pretty simple. Someone else other than Buddy Hield is going to have to step up, because Buddy Hield, he's going to get his points. I think that Woodard's going to have to step up as well. They got a lot of players on that roster who definitely can put up some points when you need to. Spangler's going to have to play some good minutes. Ladden's going to have to play well. Cousins is also going to have to step up and get into double figures as well, just like he did against the Oregon Ducks. And then, of course, you have to look to your bench and see what can come out of there. I mean, they play 9 players in total. James is also going to have to be significant off the bench. Buford's also going to have to make some significant contributions. But at the end of the day, this Oklahoma team looks as dangerous as any in quite some time. Of course, since Blake Griffin was there, and that's saying something. So for me, I like the hot hand right now. I think Oklahoma is probably the second best team left in this Final Four behind North Carolina. I like Oklahoma to win probably about 80-66 in this one. Tom?
Well, when it comes down to Villanova and Oklahoma, I look at the stats a little bit. When they're showing the opposing field goal percentage between Oklahoma and Villanova, they're both the same, .405. So they're going to keep each other in check when it comes to scoring. But Villanova has the upper hand when it comes to shooting field goal percentage in this tournament. They are actually .476, while Oklahoma is .461. Now, with that in mind, you do have to look at the seniors. Oklahoma does have 4 seniors, while Villanova only has 2. Freshmen, Oklahoma has 2, and Villanova has 2. But when it comes to juniors, Villanova has 3, and Oklahoma only has 1. So when I'm looking at people who are adjusted to the pressure when it comes to big moments, I'm definitely going to go with Oklahoma for going to the championship because they have more of an advantage with their pressure, pretty much. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma.
And then the second one, Syracuse and North Carolina. Obviously, we knew one of these teams could be there, and we know it's North Carolina. For North Carolina, they just have to play the game that they've been playing. I mean, if they keep it within the reach for them, and then the last 10 minutes of the game they do what they did against Notre Dame, I expect them to just run Syracuse out of the stadium. The Syracuse is a team that we didn't think would get to this point. Don't get me wrong; they have a fighting chance because clearly, every time we doubt them, they seem to prove us wrong. Michael Benajay has probably been the workhorse for Syracuse, averaging about 16 points and 4 assists per game. So, I mean, for Syracuse, it's just keeping that high pressure there. One of the problems that I saw in the Gonzaga game is they couldn't contain Domantas Sabonis inside. So that's the way to break down Syracuse's defense inside once you get in the paint. Sabonis had a heck of a game, to be honest, and I expect the bigs for North Carolina to do the same. So I don't expect this to be a close contest. If it is close, though, I do expect Syracuse to make it very interesting all the way to the very end. Regardless, I do see Carolina beating Syracuse in this one. Tom?
Well, from the all-ACC right side of the bracket came North Carolina and Syracuse. On paper, North Carolina is the better team. They are first in the nation in 2-point attempts and second in the nation in rebounds and offensive efficiency. And when it came to the regular season, Syracuse lost both times to UNC, and I was actually trying to look up the score real quickly of those games. The first one was 84-73, while the other one was a close 75-70. So this game will be pretty close, and it will be high scoring. I'm actually going to go with Syracuse on this one. I see Jim Boeheim as being an escape artist pretty much and coming from behind. They'll stay pretty close until the end, and then at the 7-minute mark, I want to see that full pressure go again against UNC, and I want to see UNC turn over the ball just as much as when they were playing against Virginia. So I'm going with Syracuse on this one.
Wow. That is saying something. Going for Syracuse, I mean, look, Tom, it's a bold statement, but it's boldest by far. Look, Syracuse gets to the championship game. Boeheim gets a lifetime extension, whatever he wants, because this, again, arguably, already to this point, it's already the best work he's done with the roster that he's had. And don't get me wrong, Benajay's been great, and Malachi Richardson's also going to have to play a big game for Syracuse in order for them to have a chance. I do give them a chance, but at the end of the day, I think Syracuse's leadership is just a little bit too much, and their bigs inside will probably dominate Syracuse a little bit too much because they don't have that much depth on that bench. But we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the update. Will the Warriors get 73 wins? We're going to find out after the break. So here is All We Need, Odessa on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone and Tom Crane on Spreaker Radio. welcome back to the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone and Tom Crane. Coming to you live on Spreaker Radio from Portland, Oregon and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's about 6:05 on the East Coast, 3:05 out on the West Coast. So, college basketball, good season, and you expect a lot to happen in the next couple weeks. But, of course, now we move from college to the pro game. Warriors, man, 73 wins. It looks like it's in reach. Again, like I said, the two games that they won over the Clippers and the Mavericks should not surprise you. They're just playing as well as anybody. And again, getting 66 wins with about a handful of games left, it's within reach. They have a 5-game lead over the San Antonio Spurs. So this honestly looks like the Warriors have at least 70 wins. I think 70 wins is more than attainable. Right now, 35-0 at home, second best home record in the league behind the Spurs at 37-0. But they're winning 9 out of 10. Very impressive thus far. So, pulling up the schedule for what we have here, and again, we mentioned their chances. They don't look terrible. They don't. Again, 66-7. One of the best records we've seen in our lifetime. Seeing 70 wins would be just as impressive. So, to go over the schedule as we have now, because I now have it pulled up, of course, and what a great time to have it pulled up. The games that they have left, they have at